Well, hello everyone. I hope you're keeping well and healthy. My name is Ryan McCuskey and I'm the co-founder of Trip Merchant. Today marks the beginning of a webinar series we are calling Virtual Talks. And today is the first episode of several webinar interviews or discussions that we'll be having with various travel suppliers, cover a range of travel styles and destinations worldwide as it relates to COVID-19. COVID-19 has had a big impact on the world, but one industry that has been massively affected is, of course, the travel industry. And the purpose of these discussions are to provide you with additional information associated with COVID-19 when traveling on a tour, a cruise, by plane, with a particular company, or whether it's traveling to a specific destination. The end goal is to help you feel more comfortable when traveling in general. We will be reviewing this unprecedented situation in terms of how it looks now and how it looks for the future. And as we can all appreciate, our lives have changed dramatically over the last couple months and have had to adapt to this new normal. And we've been confined to our homes. Fortunately, there's been some nicer weather across the country, so we've been able to enjoy some of the outdoors, social distancing, of course. And as of recently, some businesses are starting to reopen across the country, which is a very positive sign. But we are not in the clear. We have a long road ahead. Patience is something that we'll need to perfect, of course. It's really not a matter of if we will travel again, but more so when or how we will travel moving forward by taking the necessary health and safety precautions implemented by travel providers to protect our well-being. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Ron Lonsdale, Vice President of Canada for Collette. Hello, Ron. Collette focuses on guided tours throughout the world, and they have been around for many years, providing a solid 4-star plus experience, featuring various product lines for their travelers, including their main classic Collette brand, Spotlight City Tours, faith-based travel, river cruises, to even their small group touring, which is called Explorations. And Ron has been in the business for 25 plus years now and served many different roles at Collette with many great achievements. I personally worked at Collette actually, and I could speak very highly of the company and of course of Ron. Ron was the one who hired me, first person I met at Collette and mentored me over the years. He's very well respected in the travel industry. So Ron, thank you again for taking the time to speak with myself, our travelers, to learn about what Collette is doing right now and what Collette is preparing for the future as it relates to travel in general and guided tours. So hello, Ron.
Hey, Ryan, thank you. That was a wonderful, lovely introduction.
Well, of course.
Well, I commend you on your efforts and the communication that you're providing your members and your clients. And first and foremost, we just want to make sure that you and your families and communities are keeping safe and healthy, and we're still practicing our good social and physical distancing. And we can't thank enough the first line workers and responders in healthcare. And travel has taken a pause, but we're actually adapting. And when this global pandemic happened, you reflect and these uncertain times and unprecedented times, as we call it, we've been able to look at how travel is going to be different. And we have a team that we put in place that is working on the health and safety measures, what the safeguards and protocols are going to be, and again, what the experience is going to be and feel, and how travel is going to be open and safe to experience once these bans have been lifted. But
absolutely,
I know you've had a few questions lined up for me, but
yes, absolutely.
I didn't know where we wanted to start, but
well, I'll kick things off with the first question, and but I appreciate you sharing that information. That's great. But yeah, I mean, to kick things off, the first question that I think is important for everyone to know, Collette, of course, has been around for 100 plus years now, 1918, and the company, of course, has endured a lot over that time, persevered through a lot, whether it's, SARS, 9/11, and other factors, wars even during that time. And what I'd like to learn from you today, and what our travelers I know would like to hear is how is this current pandemic different? More specifically, how has Collette been affected by COVID-19, and how has Collette, I guess, reacted or adapted during this time?
That's a great question. I mean, I've been proudly representing the oldest family tour operator, and I think we're the third oldest in the world. And we were celebrating our 102 travel season, having our best year ever as a company pre-COVID-19. And, I think we've been through several 8 crises. We've been through 9/11, Zika, Ebola, SARS. This one has globally impacted the whole entire travel industry along with ourselves. And we've had a significant impact. But when you face these things, you need to look at what we're doing and what we need to do differently. And we have a director of corporate responsibility, we have a crisis team, and we're collaborating with, IATA, which is the International Air Transportation Association, Center of Disease Control, the World Health Organizations, the World Travel and Tourism Council, United States Tour Operator, Canadian Associated Tour Operator, European Union with the Schengen region of 26 countries. So we all want to be aligned in knowing that what these, how we're going to operate and have our clients and your guests, Ryan, feel safe and comfortable, and looking after their well-being. And so we've actually put together a Traveling Well experience landing page that really rolls out what that's going to look like prior to tour, while on tour, and after tour.
Great, because I was going to ask. There's obviously, several travel restrictions, or even just restrictions locally within your own community, and there's questions that are raised about, traveling or being in groups, large groups in general. And I think a lot of people may correlate that to traveling as part of a group. So I was going to ask, what sort of safety, health measures is Collette taking as part of that program to make customers feel safe when traveling on a guided tour?
Well, first and foremost, and just wanted to get back, right now we've suspended all our tours up until June 30th. And then there's other, like Russia, to the end of July. As you know, the Canadian Rockies, because of the Stampede, we suspended, the season. And right now, when we look at, I think we've given over close to $100 million, as we're the only tour operator to give a cash full refund. Right. And, but the measures that we're taking now is, we have product designers and product managers, because we're not an end supplier. We don't own hotels, airlines, coaches, sure. Hotels for that matter. Our product designers and managers are going and speaking with our vendors so that they meet the highest standards of service and hygiene and cleanliness measures. So if you look at Marriott, it's one of our hotel chains we use worldwide. They've teamed up with the manufacturer of Lysol. So you're always going to hear these clean care programs. And, that's something that we're working with airlines and also with our coaches. They're going to go through a vigorous training program on, meeting the cleanliness and hygiene standards on the coaches. What we've done on our distinctive travel styles is we're going to have, leave seats open. We're going to have minimum number of guests, maximum number of guests, say averaging 19 on a 44 passenger coach. And also that even our tour directors are going to have to go through retraining on the protocols and safeguard measures, when dealing with our guests. So lots of things. I mean, there's more questions than answers, but,
Sure.
We're starting to put an action plan together. We're navigating through this fluid situation. And I think, when it comes to health screening, there's a lot of things that we're finalizing and we'll have on our landing page and sharing with all our travel partners like Trip Merchant.
Excellent. And as you said, it is such a fluid situation. There's constantly new updates on a daily, weekly basis. So it's, it's a time where we have to sort of react or pivot, as I mentioned before. And, there's a lot of Departure date, I know you mentioned, sorry, June 30th is when you anticipate all trips to be suspended by, and I guess in that case, July 1st onwards,
Yep.
you are anticipating to have your trips taking place. So how do you see that moving forward? And as you alluded to, you don't own hotels and the
Yep.
airlines. How do you see that in the future? And it may depend on the destination, I guess, too. So,
Yeah, so again, we want to be compliant to all those
mm,
membrane bodies that I mentioned.
right.
Also, through the recovery strategy when it's open and safe to travel. So you're seeing a lot of countries go through their stages or phases of reopening, and we're cautiously optimistic that it's going to be domestic,
Sure.
throughout the summer, domestic transborder later part of the summer. And then we feel that international will resume operations come late fall. And again, we're working with the Center of Disease Control, WHO, the World Travel and Tourism Council, and right now everybody needs to have that kind of seal of approval, like a VQA, stamp, where we feel that we're not the number one priority is our guests and our employees, and we want to make sure that it's safe for them to travel. So,
Excellent.
and again, we're seeing retail bookings come in, for late fall, and we know we have to build that consumer confidence and trust. And we're actually up in bookings for 2021, and
Excellent.
that's new bookings, and it's not just people with future travel credits or postpone their travels and for an alternative date and tour. So
Okay.
that's encouraging.
Definitely encouraging. And so, with people who are booking their trips for the future, which destinations are coming to mind, or some of the better sellers?
Yes, and because of the restrictions, we're finding that it's going to be single country
Mhm.
that people are going to go, not multi-country. They want more of a hub and spoke. They're more multiple nights. Logistically, they don't want to be keep moving around. So, and also when I look at one of our distinctive travel styles is explorations.
Right.
You mentioned that earlier. That's the small group touring, more off the beaten path, more of the antiquities, cultures, and flavor, and no more than 19 guests. So I think, that, and also we're seeing people don't want overcrowding or they call it over tourism, but I think shoulder season, where I think that's going to be predominantly important for people to travel. And we're seeing that when it comes to Italy, Ireland, Iceland, and
Mhm.
these are the countries that again are going to be operating, and we're seeing bookings now.
Great. Yeah, I was just reading about Iceland today, and they anticipate June 15th to open their doors to
Mhm.
international visitors. So we'll see further information on that, but they've done a great job in Iceland to contain the virus, and
Mhm.
they have a great research team and so forth working on vaccinations, whatnot. So that could be one of the first destinations in Europe to really explore, I believe. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a number of departures. As you know, we have 3 programs to Iceland, and
right.
there's the adventurous explorations, the land of fire and ice, and the northern lights, the aurora borealis. And again, it's in huge demand because of the regulations and the protocols they put in place. Because it was not the politicians, it was the health minister that was able to action what was needed to have the least amount of COVID cases and mortalities. And again, if you look at Iceland, it's one of those where sustainable tourism and responsibility, and they're very forward thinking. So it's a great
Excellent.
safe destination, probably this fall.
Absolutely. No, great. Well, and I know you mentioned people are again booking ahead. There are obviously some people that may be hesitant to book for future trips or destinations until they get a little bit more clarity on the virus and vaccinations, to which destinations are the best place to go, to even the flight routing. But in terms of traveling with Collette, are there any current offers right now that members or travelers can take advantage of, and what flexible booking terms and
Yeah,
conditions are in place? I know you mentioned cash back and so forth, but
yeah. I actually, th- we've we have the leading industry travel protection plan. No age discrimination, no pre-medical conditions. Change your mind for any reason, right up to
Mhm.
24 hours prior to departure. As you know, COVID-19 is a known event. A lot of insurance companies that are not, going to refund you or protect you. And so with ours, we've had it in place, and we're going to continue to have it after this is all said and done. And what we've done too is that trip interruption, baggage delay, medical, you name it. But what we've also done is to, your clients who travel with Trip Merchant are going to need and want more flexibility. So when they deposit on a tour and they feel it might be unsafe, or they feel uncomfortable going, we're going to allow them a one time to change their mind
Great.
60 days prior to departure with no penalties. So
Excellent.
we want it to be peace of mind. And again, we want to assure that your clients, when they go, they're going to be looked after, and it is peace of mind. So right now, what we have is a worldwide travel sale. It's up to 15% off,
Great.
outside of Canada and the United States through March 31st, 2021 for any new bookings. And then after April 1st through December 31st, 2021, it's a 10% on all travel.
Perfect.
So that's our most aggressive sales offer we've ever had in market, and it's up until June 30th.
Perfect. Well, we hope to showcase that in our travel newsletters and on the website in the very near future as well. So we'll make sure the members are clearly aware of that. I appreciate you shared a lot of great information. Again, we wanted to make these calls more 20, 25 minutes. Though you provide us a lot of great information, I want to ask this question to more so conclude the questions I have for you. But it is a completely subjective, fairly broad question to answer. But what's your personal perspective or opinion of how travel will look in the near to the distant future?
Well, I think, when you look through these uncertain times, it comes innovation and creativity. And I think what we're doing now is, since we've paused on travel, we're reflecting. And I think, travel is a true educator. Travel is one of the very few things that you can buy that makes you richer, and you want to reconnect. So I think what we've done now is that the measures we're putting in place, for smaller groups, making sure that, if I look at the airline industry, they're not going to be selling the middle seat, all the precautionary measures they're taking, the air filterization they're doing with that you would have in museums and galleries. So I think there's a lot of good happening out of this. I think once it's safe and open to travel, we're going to reconnect the joy of travel. And you mentioned earlier, Ryan, that travel is not what we do, it's who we are. And I think, people are now inspiring and have aspirations to travel, and they're searching that, the new bucket lists, and it's a wonderful thing to do. And, if I look at, when 9/11 happened, we went through different screenings of taking your shoes off, not allowing carrying water bottles and toothpaste. So we're just going to implement new changes when it comes to when this COVID-19 is behind us. And again, I think the world is ready, and they're welcoming travel. So I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll see a return to travel in the fall, and I think we're going to be set up very well with all of the procedures and measures we've put in place. And I think it's going to be universal, and it's going to be global, and everyone's going to have to meet the same needs and standards. And with Collette being a 102-year-old tour operator, we're excited for the next 100 years.
Absolutely. No, it's great. Well, as I mentioned, working at the company of Collette, it's impressed. I've been very impressed with the company from the time I worked there, and now owning Trip Merchant with Tom McLean, my business partner. We enjoy working very closely with Collette, and we've been selling a lot of Collette, which is great. A lot of people have positive experiences when traveling with your company. So really appreciate taking the time today, Ron. Provide a lot of great helpful information, and definitely instill confidence for the future as it relates to traveling and guided tours. I believe I speak on everyone's behalf, but we can't wait for travel to be back in action. I know I can't wait to travel next. I wish we all had a crystal ball, or one of us did at least, to know exactly when things will be fully better, but time will tell. But we will remain optimistic, and there are positive things to come. As we spoke about vaccinations or a cure, there's a lot of conversations on that and some promising news related to that. So we'll see when that comes into play, but we'd like to wish yourself, your family, and Collette the very best going ahead. We'll get through this. As I mentioned, we will travel sooner than later. And a tagline that we've been using at Trip Merchant is dream now, travel later, but I really can't wait to say dream now, travel soon, or just simply put, travel now as the world's doors are open. So again, thank you very much, Ron.
Well, Ryan, thank you, and thank Trip Merchant, and your clients are very lucky, as you guys are arguably great travel professionals. You're experts, you're knowledgeable, and the service level that you provide, I think, is going to be now more prevalent than ever. Knowing what insurance and suppliers and financial and stable positions, and just not disclosing all the experiences. So it's been a pleasure working with Trip Merchant and yourself, and I wish your clients all the very best, and continue to stay well, safe, and healthy, and thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely, Ron. Thank you.
All right.
For those of you who have watched and listened to this interview discussion today, if you have any questions for Trip Merchant or Ron from Collette, please email us at info@tripmerchant.com, info@tripmerchant.com, and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions. Please stay tuned for our next episode with Anderson Vacations. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.